welcome to Red Clay This Month, the show that brings light to important educational issues that affect the students at the Red Clay Consolidated School District in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm Dr. Judith Conway. I'm the Supervisor of Unified Arts here at Red Clay, and I will be your host for this show. On today's show, we're going to tell you about a relatively new sports program in Red Clay. It's called Unified Sports. Unified Sports is a registered program of Special Olympics that combines approximately equal numbers of athletes with and without disabilities on sports teams for training and competition. Please join me in welcoming my first guest, John Buzby, who is the Director of Media Relations for Special Olympics Delaware. Well, hey John, how are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
I am great, thank you. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, you're welcome. So tell us about Unified Sports.
Well, you know, Unified Sports is something that's been going on around the country for over 30 years. And here in Delaware, we were a part of the initial pilot of that program. And it's just recently now gotten into the high schools and become part of the interscholastic high school sports scene all over the country. And again, Delaware is one of the leaders in that as well.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So give us a sense of what Unified Sports is all about. Like, can you put a little more bones on,
sure.
Or a little more muscles on the bones that I gave?
Absolutely. And I'll use the example of track and field, basketball, and football, and that's the sports that we offer here in Delaware in partnership with the Delaware Interscholastic Athletic Association, and it's the ones that McKean High School is very involved in here in the Red Clay School District. And basically, to start with basketball, there's 5 people on the court on any basketball team. So in Unified Sports, 3 of those 5 are Special Olympics athletes. They are students with an intellectual disability of some level. The other 2 are unified partners, and those are students without disabilities. And so it truly is a bringing together of people with and without intellectual disabilities to play on the same team. In track and field, how that works is that if they run a 100-meter dash, a Special Olympics athlete will run 100 meters, the unified partner will run 100 meters, and their scores are added together. And then they are placed compared to other people in the 100-meter dash for Unified Sports. On a track and field unified relay team, 4 people run the 4x100-meter relay. 2 of them are Special Olympics athletes, 2 of them are unified partners. And so it truly is a bringing together of people with and without intellectual disabilities on the playing field. And what inevitably happens, and it really is the whole purpose and goal of Unified Sports, is it creates friendships. And it increases the respect that those teammates have for each other, just like happens on every other sports team at the high school level.
Absolutely. So here in Delaware, we've participated for 30 years. The more recent change has been that now it's a part of the high school sports scene,
That is correct. Back in 2013, we started offering track and field. And from that has grown now to 18 schools participating in track and field.
Oh, nice.
And so what's really neat, and I was down there when this happened, is at the state championship down in Dover every spring, they have a 100-meter dash for the girls, they have a 100-meter dash for the boys, and they have a 100-meter dash for Unified Sports. And so to see that happen in the shot put, the standing or the running long jump, and the other sports that are offered there, to just know and to have been part of Special Olympics 30 years ago, which I was, and to see how much it has grown, and to sit on that track. I was there actually taking pictures that day, and to hear the applause when those athletes and unified partners' names were announced, and just knowing the thrill it had to have been for both of them, the partner and the athlete, to hear their names involved in that. From track and field, 2 years ago, we started unified flag football, and this past fall we crowned our 2nd state champion in unified flag football, and that happened at Delaware Stadium in between the Division I and Division II state championship games. And so again, what Special Olympics and the DIAA have tried to do is they've tried to not only incorporate unified sports into the fabric of the high school athletic programs, but they've tried to treat them exactly like every other sports program, and they've been very successful in doing so.
Oh, that's excellent, excellent. And you know, you've touched on this, but why do you think it's important for all students to participate in sports?
You know, I think
what do they get from it?
I think it's important that every student have an opportunity to participate. Not every student, just like not every kid and not every adult, wants to play sports. Some of them enjoy music, some of them want to be part of plays, some of them want to be doing other things.
There we are.
Unified arts,
Exactly.
So you know. But what is important is that they have the opportunity. And so now what Unified Sports has done is it's given people with intellectual disabilities an opportunity to be part of a sports team. They don't all choose to do so.
Of course.
But those who want to now have an opportunity. It also gives Unified Partners, a lot of the Unified Partners who are part of Special Olympics love the sports, but they might not be good enough to play on the high school team, or they might not be willing to take on the complete commitment that it takes to be on a high school team. A unified sports team still has a big commitment, just not quite as big as the high school team, you know, so to speak. The season's not as long, there aren't as many games, but it's still a practice commitment of practicing daily and things like that. But the importance, and I think again goes back to what Unified Sports is all about, is what it does is it creates a more positive atmosphere in the schools. And I always tell this story, and this happened at my wife's school, and where she teaches here in Newcastle County, and they had unified flag football. And the first year we did unified flag football, we allowed the varsity football players to be part of it. We've since gone away from that for several different reasons, but there were 2 varsity players in a hallway right outside of her classroom, and they have both since gone on to play Division I football. So they were good varsity players. And they yelled to one of the Special Olympics athletes on the flag football team in the hallway. And when he came over to them, he got a high five from him. And my wife said the smile on that Special Olympics athlete's face when these 2 varsity football players went out of their way to call him over and give him a high five, she said she's never seen anything like it. And so it's instances like that, and we have all kinds of stories. You know, we have stories of high school players now eating with the Special Olympics athletes in the lunchroom. Outside of high schools, at the elementary schools and the middle schools, we also offer unified sports as well, and we hear the same type of stories. All of a sudden, the students who are special education students are being invited to be part of the kickball game out at recess because the Unified Partners go out of their way to get them involved because they've developed these friendships and these relationships in unified sports. And that's why it's so important. And I'll add one more thing quickly that, you know, and this is where we don't see the result of unified sports when maybe 10 years after that unified team graduates from high school, the unified partner is in a position in a business or company to hire someone with an intellectual disability. And what they now have experienced is that person with an intellectual disability is a lot more like everyone else than they are different. And they're responsible, and they come to work on time, and they can do a good job. And so now that boss, who was a unified partner back in high school, is going to make an effort to hire that adult with an intellectual disability because they've seen the abilities of people with intellectual disabilities.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, really, you know, it's hard to change people's beliefs if they don't have any experience with a person, whether it's, you know, whatever the division is, however you are different from me.
Right.
If I don't have any experience with you, then it's so much easier to stereotype and to think of that other category as other.
Right.
But this really, you know, it's hard to work against that, and this is a great program to do that.
Yeah, and it's wonderful, and it's great that Red Clay has really developed it from the very young age. Mary Moore, who has been in the Red Clay School District forever, and she's in our Hall of Fame, and she was one of the original people that started unified sports here in the state of Delaware, and she has been such a champion for unified sports starting as early as preschool here in the Red Clay School District. And that does exactly what you were talking about. And I always use the example when people ask of, it's kind of like ice skating. If you get on skates when you're 3 and 4 years old, you just take off because you don't know any differently, and you just go out. When you're our age, we don't start ice skating because we've heard too many stories about what can happen if you slip and fall. It's the same when you bring people of different backgrounds together. If you do it at an early age, they don't know any different. And so they grow up that way. And I've seen that in my own household. I have 3 boys. One is grown now, and he started with Special Olympics as a unified partner when he was 8 years old. And he ended up being such a proponent of people with disabilities throughout his high school and college career, and it has continued now into an adulthood. And he often tells me and tells his younger brothers that, you know, I never knew any different. I didn't care if somebody had Down syndrome or autism. I always treated them like a person. And he learned that at an early age by being a unified partner in Special Olympics in the school systems.
Oh, well, that's great. Great stories. Great to put some real meat on the bones of what unified sports is all about, and how it can make a difference in kids' lives. So thank you for sharing that with us, John.
Thank you very much.
Please stay tuned. Our next guest will share a different perspective on today's topic.
I've known Markell and Carre about 6 months.
She's spunky, she's always cracking jokes, she's lighthearted about things.
There was an immediate connection.
And really young at heart also.
I try to keep up with what these young people is doing and knowing.
It's nice that Meals on Wheels created an opportunity for both of us to connect with each other.
We laugh and talk about so many things. They both came and told me she was pregnant.
We were just excited to tell somebody the news. We just found out ourselves.
They hadn't even told their family. Oh my gosh, you guys did it! I felt good that I was the first person to know.
We both want our kid to have some of her personality and her characteristics.
I said, you guys have no idea how I really, truly feel about you.
Oh, she's making me cry.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org.
America, let's do lunch.
About a relatively new sports program at Red Clay called Unified Sports. Red Clay became a more inclusive school district several years ago when special education students were assigned back to their regular neighborhood schools. These students are thriving at McKean, where many have gotten involved in every aspect of a regular high school program, including sports. Here to tell us about Unified Sports at McKean is Matt Carre, a teacher and the athletic director. Welcome, Matt. Hey, I see you got your Black Watch plaid soccer emblem on there. Yeah.
Be champions this year.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, really excited.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, well, thank you for coming. Now, tell us about this addition, relatively recent addition to McKean Sports, Unified Sports.
Yeah, so we offer 3 unified sports programs at McKean, one for each season. In the fall, we have unified flag football. In the winter, just this year, it's a pilot year, unified basketball. And the longest sport that we've had is unified track in the spring.
Oh, excellent, excellent. And John Buzby was just talking to us about what that means and how it goes with sort of a little bit more individualized sports like track and field versus the team sports, the flag football and the basketball.
Right.
So how have students reacted to this program?
The students are very excited. I think it's, just to have more opportunities, and what we've had no problem filling the teams. The students last year got to play unified flag football at the University of Delaware in the state championship. The IAA has recognized these programs. And
your team was in the state championship?
State championship last year, in our first year doing flag football, and just the excitement, not just from the students, but just the school in general. We had a pep rally before that game, and and it's created a buzz, you know, around the students that participate in the program. So it's been really good for our school. Everyone's been really excited about the expansion of these programs.
Excellent, excellent, and that's an interesting aspect that maybe one wouldn't normally think of. That it's not only the kids on the team, but it's the whole school climate, the whole school community. That
anytime you have a team that's really having some success, like for example this year with soccer, you know, the soccer team made it to the state tournament, and it creates a buzz in the school. Teachers get excited. They see the students in class, you know, high fives. I heard John tell the story about the high fives, and you see that each season with our unified athletes in the school. So it's been really great, not just for the participants, but also you know, the other students who are just share classes with those students. I'm the football coach at McKean as well. Whenever we have a home unified flag football game, I'll end practice a little early. We'll go catch the tail end of the game, and you know, all my guys are up there rooting for the unified team, and they're getting excited. And after the game, they're high-fiving and having conversations. So it's been really good. It's been really good for us.
Excellent, excellent. Because too, it points out, like, you know, sort of like food and certainly like the arts, that, you know, like if you really like to play football, you're kind of more inclined to like anybody else who likes to play football.
Yeah.
Or
shared interests.
Right. Sing or paint or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Excellent. Excellent. So the program, can you talk just a little more about how the program has added to the high school experience for the students who are participating, our student athletes with and without disabilities?
Yeah, so I think that everyone who's familiar with high school sports, you know, education-based athletics, and that's something that the IAA really talks a lot about, education-based athletics. But there are a lot of students who, you know, as John said prior to me, they might not be able to compete at the JV level. They might not be able to compete at the varsity level. They might not be able to commit just the time of a full season for football or basketball.
Right, so they might have the talent, but just not the ability to... Not have the
time to get that full commitment during the season, whereas unified sports, it's a condensed schedule. So we have athletes, the partners, who they might not be able to commit to a full season for basketball, varsity football, but with the condensed schedule of the unified season, they're able to make those commitments. So I think it's just, you know, an increased opportunity for education-based athletics here at McKean. And you know, we're an inclusive school, so it just adds to that mission of being an inclusive environment. Our motto is "We are McKean: accountability, responsibility, and empathy." And I think that it helps our student athletes when they participate in sports. It helps them with those characteristics, learn those traits. And unified sports has helped our unified athletes and our partners, you know, to develop those traits, especially empathy, being able to, you know, imagine yourself in someone else's shoes. You might not, as you were saying before with John, if you don't have an experience with somebody, you might have preconceptions and things like that. But once you build those relationships, it kind of changes your understanding. You know, it reminds me of the Blue Gold All-Star game. You know, it's very similar where you have the All-Stars with buddies and things like that, and that for the players, it's a life-changing experience, and obviously for the buddies as well. And this is very similar. It's a life-changing experience on both sides.
Yeah, I like that. I like that in this situation, they are equal members.
Yeah.
That everybody's performance counts, and that they're just teammates.
Yeah, well,
I'm
special
not
Olympics,
helping you out.
Right.
We're working together.
We're working together.
Yeah.
We're on the same. We both bring equal value to this team, and that's where you see some of our students with disabilities really excel on the field. And they're, you know, team captains. They're making plays of the game and winning games, and they might not, you know, they might participate at the JV level. They might be on the varsity roster, but to be the star of the team, you know, is a different experience, and that's what unified sports offers. That's really different than any other experience.
Right, because everybody needs to be the star at something.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you see that motivation then trickle down into other areas, like in the classroom. You know, if Coach Jackson Brown, he's our unified flag football coach, but I remember seeing him on a video for Special Olympics, and he was talking about, you know, the expectations are the same, you know, and keeping those expectations high for our student athletes, and then he'll have the same expectations when they go into the classroom. So it falls back to that main point of education-based athletics and expanding opportunities for the kids here at McKean.
And I remember back to my own high school days a long time ago. I know, but you know, sports was such a big part of it. You know, I was never good enough to make any of the teams, but like attending the games and attending the pep rallies and, you know, cheering the team on and being in the stands and, you know, all of that stuff.
It's school pride.
Exactly, school pride and sports, education-based sports, as you say, are a big part of the life experience that we all have as we're growing up.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Well, thanks. Thanks for sharing that with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we're going to take a break now.
All right.
So go ahead and grab some coffee or tea, but there's more to come on today's topic. When we come back, we're going to talk to some students about their experiences.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do.
Did you have a good day at school?
She gave them some broth without any bread.
There you go.
And kissed them all soundly
Night night.
Good night. And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to Red Clay This Month, where we're talking about unified sports this month. Please join me in welcoming our very special guests, two students from McKean High School who are on a unified sports team, and they are Markell Taylor-White and Brandon Ferrara. Welcome. Hey, how are you? Oh, thanks so much for coming, and thanks so much for filming with us today. So why don't I let you introduce yourself and tell us what team you're on.
I'm Markell Taylor-White. I play for Unified Football Team and Unified Basketball Team.
Oh,
I'm the team captain.
a double athlete, and you're captain?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of which team?
Both.
Oh my gosh, you must really be the star.
Yeah.
I think so. I think so. Excellent. So football and basketball.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Brandon, how about you?
My name is Brandon Ferrara. I played on the Unified Flag Football Team for the past 2 years now.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. And what year are you? Freshman, sophomore, junior?
Junior.
You're a junior? And how about you, Brandon?
Senior.
You're a senior?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. So, like, the two of you are kind of smiling. So I'm thinking that this is a topic that that you will enjoy talking about, that you've had pretty good experiences. So, why did you decide to join the team?
To meet some new friends, get to know them, see where they're at of sports, see if they like the sport or not.
Mm-hmm.
To like get along with them, get to know them very well,
Now, that's true. When you're on a team with somebody, you do get to know them very well because you see them make a lot of decisions, right? And those decisions tell about what kind of a person you are. So yeah, I see that. So Brandon, what's your experience been on the, why did you join the flag football team?
For the past 3 years now, I've been involved in a chapter at school called Best Buddies. And we hold events all year long to connect with those students with IDD in school, make them feel like an everyday high school student. And we do a lot of activities with Special Olympics, so when the topic came up about having a flag football team, I thought it was a no-brainer to join the team.
So you like playing football?
Yeah.
And how about you, Markell?
I love playing football.
Do you?
I've been playing football since I was 10.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I have experience playing the game and showing these guys how to play, catch the ball, run the ball, learn the routes.
Like different plays?
Yes.
Like you have a playbook and stuff as well? I am so not a sports person, I'm sorry. So I might ask some dumb questions, so just smile and be nice to me because I'm doing my best. So what position do you play?
I am a running back.
On the football team? I know that much. That running backs are on football, not basketball.
Unified, I can play anywhere on the field. Like, I can play a little quarterback, I can play wide receiver, defense, I can play DB, or any other position the coach wants me, I play it.
Wow, wow. Do you have a favorite?
Like, my favorite position is a running back. But any position that I'm comfortable with.
Yep, yep. How about you, Brandon?
For the Unified Flag football team, I played quarterback.
Nice, nice. So you switch off sometimes then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little. But he's mainly our quarterback.
And do you like that? Do you like being the quarterback?
Yeah, I think it's a fun experience. For the,
I've always had the impression that the quarterback is really the guy who calls all the shots.
Yes.
And I can see how some people would be really comfortable with that. People who are leaders, maybe, like me. In a different situation, I'm okay with calling the shots, but in something like that, I would want to be so far away from calling the shots. You just tell me what to do, and I'll do my best to do it. So so I admire that, people who are willing to step up and take that responsibility, because a lot of the success of the team depends on, it depends on everybody, but the quarterback is key, huh?
Yes.
And how about in basketball? What positions do you play in basketball?
I'm a point guard for basketball.
Okay. And do you switch off? Because you said you were the captain of that team too?
Yeah. Yeah, I switch off with a couple of experienced players from our JV squad that comes and help us too. So, we all get our sharing of bringing the ball down or taking shots. We all get our shares.
Excellent. Excellent. Have you gone, Brandon, you don't play on the basketball team, right?
No, I don't play on the flag.
Have you gone to basketball games, though?
Yeah, I've gone to a couple.
Nice.
See how they play and everything.
Support, right? That's always good, to support each other, whether it's your sport or not. That's what I was very good at. I was very good at sitting in the stands and yelling and screaming and encouraging people, and eating at the concession stand. I think I was very good at that too. So, let me look at, okay. My last question for you guys, I was finding my place here, is what do you think you've gotten out of being on the team?
Really, really good. How can I put it? I really like the game. I really enjoy coming out and really having an experience.
Now, you've said that you were the captain of both teams. Is that that's a real responsibility.
Yeah,
you know, like quarterback, being the captain and encouraging everybody. Are there things you think you've learned from that, from being captain?
I really learned. I really learned how to be a team captain, how to be a leader, take responsibility, be achieving the goals. I really enjoy doing that.
Excellent.
And these guys look up to me like he's one of our best team captains we ever had.
I absolutely believe it. I absolutely believe it. And that's, you know, I find myself looking at like people who are team captains and people who step up to the plate and take a chance on things, because I think they're going to be the movers and shakers in the future, and they're going to be the success stories in the future. And I think that's a real gift, to be able to get a lot of people working together for the same goals, to achieve those same goals that you talked about, and to be able to have a lot of different people working together, but yet be trustworthy for all of them, but all of them can look at you and say, I can trust him. Like I can say things to him that I'm concerned about. He won't make fun of me. I can do that. Brendan, how about you? What do you think you've gotten from being involved?
One of the biggest things that I think I've taken on is like the friendships that I've made. It's not like before I would walk through the hallways and I would see like those athletes that would play with me on the unified flag football team, and I wouldn't have a reason to like go up and like talk to them and engage with them. But with flag football, I could always say like, hey, are you ready for the game coming up? Talk about flag football.
And I think that's a really important point. It is hard, especially at least I remember from when I was in high school. I was really kind of shy, and it's hard to just walk up to somebody and start a conversation. You know, you're nodding your head. You understand what I'm saying. It's difficult, and not everybody has that talent. My husband is really talented that way. He can get your story or your life out of you in a heartbeat, but not me so much, and especially not when I was in high school. So I think you bring up a really good point, that now that you have something in common, so it's easier to talk to people, and so that's something to look for and something to develop. To say, well, how can I have something in common with this person I want to talk to? Like, it could be a cute girl too, you know? It doesn't have to be just another guy. Yeah. And try and develop ways to have something in common with a lot of different people, so that it is easy to talk to them. Well, gentlemen, I thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us, because this is really what it's all about. Like, what I hear from you is really the goal of everything we do in high school, everything we do in education. So thank you for being brave enough to come up here and to share with us. I appreciate that.